What's up, YouTube? My name's Christian, and about half a year ago, a little more than that, I made a video about my car. It's a 2023 Tesla Model 3 rear-wheel drive, and I kind of went over my thoughts and just kind of my initial impressions of the vehicle. If you like to see that video, you can look at the link in the description, or I'll probably throw a little card in there. But I just want to do an ownership update. I've almost hit 20,000 miles. I've had this car since July of last year. I've taken quite a few road trips. I've lived with the vehicle day in, day out. It's my daily driver for work and for most road trips that I take. So I kind of just wanted to go into what's new with the vehicle, things that have changed via software, things that I've grown to like about it even more, things that I've grown to really be annoyed about. The list is pretty small, but let's just dive right into it. Once again, one of the things I really love about this car is just the way it looks. I've accented it with some of these red stickers. I believe I had those in the last video that I made, but it just kind of helps it pop. They're flat. One of the nice things that you can kind of just add a vinyl sticker if you'd like. Just visually, I think the car looks nice. People see it down the road, they like it. You feel like you're driving, I guess I could say, a bit more expensive car than it actually is, because again, this cost me after the tax credit $33,000, so it's middle of the road as far as price, maybe a little on the higher end for a sedan, but yeah, just doing a quick walk around. I gotta say, I still like the look of this car, even with the updated refresh model. I'll pop it on the screen right now. You guys can kind of compare, take a look, see the difference between the two. Personally, I think that on the newer model, the tail section looks a lot cleaner because there's not this separation between the headlight or the tail light and the brake light, you know, there. But as far as the front end, I gotta say that I still prefer the look of the older Model 3. Obviously it's subjective, but it's held up really well. I did actually have an accident in my garage. I was doing some work and a ladder fell from the wall where it was rested on onto my car. So on the rear driver's side door, there was actually a dent right here. I can throw some pictures on there now. You really probably wouldn't be able to tell that anything was done to it now. So I got that taken care of. I went to a local auto body shop and they had no problems working on the Tesla. So if you have any body collision work, your mileage may vary, but you might be able to get it done with your local person. But yeah, so I still think it looks really nice. We can talk about some of the accessories that I've got for my vehicle here. I did get this aftermarket. It's not the Tesla brand, but it's really nice. It's kind of hard to describe. It's like a rubbery texture, but that's been great. And on the front trunk, just like the rear trunk, I have installed a aftermarket, just sort of like a pad, just to prevent scratches on the plastic, I suppose. It just kind of looks nice. Another one of the accessories that I purchased for my vehicle is this little cubby here that goes right on the left side of the steering wheel. So I can actually keep, you know, whatever I keep in here, usually just glasses, maybe like a loyalty card or something. I think I have some Carmex in there. So that's really nice. Another thing is this fold-out phone mount. So this uses MagSafe. I think if you have a QI2 compatible phone as well, if it's an Android, it should work with this mount. But it's a magnetic mount. So if I put my phone here, you can see it sticks in pretty good. So that's really nice. Another accessory that I've got since I last had the car are these all-weather floor mats, floor liners. These have been really great. These are the Tesla branded ones. I got those with the referral points. I think it would have cost me about $200 for those. I could double check. I'll put that on the screen right now. But I've really enjoyed these. I also have them in the back, as you can see. I would say this is 100% worth it, especially for the winter. If you get any sort of like snow and if you get a lot of rain, especially too, and you get mud tracking your car, that makes cleaning it a lot easier than if you had carpet ones or if you just had nothing. I would not recommend running this vehicle without floor mats. Now, a lot of you guys have asked me to make an update about this. I did install the kit that activates these two speakers by the windows and these two speakers in the pillar. So that whole install process was a little difficult. You do have to get into the bottom of the car on the passenger side. You have to get into the underneath of the glove box, and you have to install a harness. You have to plug it in to some harnesses on the Tesla. It basically patches into the audio stream, and it lets you activate those two speakers. I have noticed, I've definitely noticed them when I'm listening to music. I would say if you're technically minded and you enjoy doing projects like this and you're not afraid to open up your car, it's well worth it. You do notice, especially on the higher pitch, the treble, you do hear it from those speakers a lot. But then again, you do have to kind of pump the bass up a little bit on this model because it does not have a subwoofer. So unless you add a subwoofer, you're going to want to compensate for the extra high end with some more low end in the equalizer. But I would say, I would definitely recommend, if you have the newer Tesla Model 3, the 2022, or the AMD Ryzen one, the one with the new infotainment system, I would say it's worth it to do it with the hand show audio kit. So I can play some music right now so you guys can kind of hear that difference.
Free plates stacked up on your nightstand.
I don't know how easily that's going to come through on the video, but I would say it's a nice to have. If you're technically minded, again, go for it. If you're intimidated by that kind of thing, it's not like that big of a difference. Little cubby here that I can keep some loyalty cards and just receipts and stuff like that. That's kind of nice. And one last thing that I got with the referral points was this CCS adapter. So this is actually pretty heavy. Essentially, this lets you use the non-Tesla super fast charger stations, DC fast charging. So that's going to be like Electrify America. They have this a lot of Walmarts, I think. I think that's owned by Volkswagen. Just any sort of the standard, non-Tesla EV chargers. This should let you use those. So if I plug it in here, you can see it has a little magnet that I think that just communicates with the car. I'm not exactly certain about that, but you plug it in, and then you're able to use those. They're pretty beefy cables, but you plug them in, you chunk in, and that lets you, use the non-Tesla ones. And I kind of like that, just to have the option, because that way if you get stranded somewhere and you can't use the superchargers for some reason, or if you go to Glacier National Park, there's actually no supercharger in Kalispell, Montana, but there are third-party DC fast charging stations. So I just find that this gives you a little more flexibility. I'd say it's a nice to have if you're going to do a lot of road trips, just as a backup plan. Now isn't exactly the same as it's going to be probably by the time you watch this video. They're just putting out an update right now called the version 12 that's going to redo the way that the map and sort of the control screen looks when your car is in park. It's also going to redo the music controls. So it's basically a whole overhaul. This is an older version. That said, there's a lot of really awesome features in here that they've added. The ability to change the sound that your car makes when it locks. So if you go into Toy Box and you go into the boombox, you can actually change the lock sound, and it will actually use a file that's stored on your USB. So there's a guide on how to do it. I'll link it in the description if you're curious, if you have a Tesla and you want to try it out. You can upload any sort of wave file, and so you can make literally any short sound your basically your honk that your car does when you lock it. Close the door and walk away. You can see what I've set mine to. That is the Windows XP log off or shutdown sound for anyone that's curious. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that one of the features they've added in the last year since I've gotten the car is Siri shortcuts. So if you have an iPhone or any sort of Apple product, you can actually set up shortcuts within the Shortcuts app. It's an app made by Apple themselves. And I can show you on my watch here. Might be a little hard to see, but I have some options to open up the front trunk. I can do a lot of things. So if I say, for example, emissions test, or if I just tap it, so there you go. But it's actually really useful because one of the things I do frequently is I just say to my watch or my phone, precondition, and that starts the car. It heats the battery, turns on the AC, so it's ready to go whenever you start it. Just like 15 minutes after you start, it's like perfectly cooled down, ready to go, especially in the wintertime when it gets colder. Love that, or in the summertime. But one of the things I do a lot of the time also is if I do this, hey Siri, open the front trunk. So there you go. And again, just to reiterate, on the Shortcuts app, you can actually do a variety of things. So you can set your car to a certain temperature, you can vent the windows. The list is really quite extensive, but you can do a lot of different things and set them up with custom voice commands. So that's really nice. Switch my car to drive here. What you're gonna see is you're gonna see a heat map. And basically this is the curb behind us. I can kind of even drag it here so you can see it's 3D. It makes a pretty accurate, I've been really impressed with this. This is something they've added recently. My car was a Tesla Vision car. I kind of mentioned that in my previous video, how this car does not have ultrasonic sensors. So previously in Teslas, it would kind of show you based on that information of the ultrasonic sensors, how close you were to objects, and it was really accurate. And it let you do features like summon, where if you pay for the full self-driving or the enhanced autopilot, which is actually gone now, you could actually have your car pull out of a space or even pick you up at the front of a store if it was parked in a parking lot. That feature is still not available for cars with Tesla Vision. But one thing that they have done a really good job on, like I was just showing you, is this visualization. So if I go somewhere with a bit more obstacles, and if I use that heat map, if I get a bit closer to the curb, you can see it actually starts to turn like a reddish orange. And so it's not super accurate, but for parking, it does a really good job. And if you're trying to back into a space, it gives you these lines. So if I could use those lines, I can actually back my car up pretty well into a space. And you can actually see both on the cameras, but now also with this heads-up display, you can see exactly how close you are to each side. So for parking, getting perfectly straightened out, it's a dream in this car now. So since they've added the Tesla Vision Park Assist, I've been really impressed with it, and it's kind of softened the blow of having a car that doesn't have those sensors. Update on the white seats. Some of you guys might have been curious about how they're holding up, how they're lasting, or do they get dirty? Have they had any stains? And I'm happy to report that I have not had any issues with that. I've not been babying my car. I've put, potted plants here, like dirt falling out. I've put luggage, briefcases, and stuff like that are dirty, and they get stuff on the seats. And really all you have to do to clean them is just a microfiber cloth and put some water on it and just kind of scrub. And I have yet to have a single stain that I haven't been able to get out that way. So I can kind of show you that right now. It might be a little hard to see, but there's some dirt right here. So if I were to put some water on this microfiber cloth and just kind of scrub away, it always just comes right out. So there you go. You might have to wipe them if you like them to be immaculately clean, but I just wipe them every so often, maybe every couple months. You could do it less frequently if you don't care. They really look still fantastic, and I can say from personal experience, the white seats are a lot cooler in the summertime. So that's definitely worth it for me. Let's talk about Autopilot. This is one where there's a lot of love and not so much love. So just to kind of give you guys the rundown, the full self-driving will drive on any conditions pretty much, even construction. So it'll take you from point A to point B completely, in theory. It's actually gotten a lot better in the last update. Version 12 has recently come out, which basically changed it from something that was programmed by individuals with rules to an AI sort of neural network. So it's actually a lot better for city driving now, for like residential or just standard driving. It's gotten a lot better. It doesn't slow down and speed up quite as hectic anymore, but it's not perfect as well. So it still has an issue with stopping way too long at stop signs, slowly creeping forward all the way into the lane before it finally commits to the turn. And it also has a problem with maintaining speed. So if you're driving and you set the speed limit to 55, it might go 35 or 40 until you give it some more acceleration, and then it will finally get caught up to speed. But I found that it was doing that way too much for me to actually enjoy using it. It's still nice to have if you would like it to kind of take over for you if you just don't care, you just don't feel like driving. But Autopilot, all it does is just keep you within the lane. So it won't turn for you, it won't do anything like that. But it does come free with the car. And one thing I've learned from my road trips in the Model 3 is that it's actually really, really nice to have that option, to have it just kind of drive in the lane for you on the interstate. It makes the driving fatigue of taking a road trip, especially a longer one. We recently took one to Yellowstone in Idaho. So that was like a 9-hour drive from where we're at. And that was actually a lot better in this Tesla than any other vehicle we've taken to that part of the country. Just because when you get there, you don't feel like you've been driving for 9 hours. You mainly feel like you've been sitting in a car for that long, but it's actually a lot better. So mentally, I would still totally, always have the Autopilot. It's nice to have the option. It is one of the better driver assistance, sort of self-driving systems on the market, if not the best. But that said, it's kind of really annoying at the same time. It tends to be a little jerky. So sometimes if the road makes an awkward turn, it might do something that will freak you out. So if you have people in the car with you that are really sensitive to that kind of thing, it's not going to be a silver bullet. You're probably going to want to keep it to just freeways, although it will work on any road that has lines. I can say pretty confidently that it's a feature I would not want to have a car without, but it's not one that I use all the time, just because you have to understand its limitations. One thing I'm really not a fan of that they changed in the Autopilot is the amount of times that it nags you. So it actually uses the camera now. You can see that I have it covered up. And if you guys want to know about that, you guys can Google it. I'm not going to talk about it in this vehicle. It's my choice, you know, for privacy reasons. But it does use the camera to kind of see whether you're paying attention, whether your eyes are on the road, and whether your hands are on the steering wheel. Sunglasses help a little bit with that. But it will, if you're touching the screen, if you're doing stuff, it is going to annoy you and be like, hey, pay attention. Before, I believe only the full self-driving did that. And additionally, with the Autopilot, they've changed it to be the same policy as full self-driving. So I believe I don't know if it's 3 or 5. I mean, it might be 3 for the full self-driving and 5 for the Autopilot. I'm not quite sure. But if you get consecutive, dings, if it disables because you're not paying attention, because you're not nagging the steering wheel every now and again, which I've noticed it does more since I bought the car, it will disable it for 1 week. So if you abuse the system too much, it will actually take it away from you. As it stands right now, all you have to do when it disables is pull over the car, put it into park, and then put it back into drive, and that counts as you resetting that so you can use your Autopilot again. But keep in mind that you can't just if you want to, it'll tell you this too, but if you want to just kind of like whatever, who cares, this system will actually be taken away from you, which I kind of see why, because they've had a lot of trouble with the NHTSA, just kind of like they're saying you're not doing enough to prevent crashes. A lot of these crashes were people that were abusing the system and not paying attention. So as a result of that, the system's got a lot worse for people that use it as it's intended. And I've only had, I think, 2 total forced disengagements in the time that I've owned the car. But just keep that in mind. The full self-driving, it only costs $100 a month or $8,000. When I made my last video, I believe the price of the full self-driving to buy it outright was $15,000, which is insanely way more than it's actually worth. I can just vouch for that right now. There was a 1-month trial when they came out with the version 12 of the full self-driving, so every Tesla owner got to experience the full self-driving in the new form for 1 month. I can firmly say that it might be worth it if you drive a lot for $100 a month, but considering that you only get it if you buy it outright for that vehicle, meaning that if you sell that vehicle, you're selling your full self-driving and you need to buy it again, it doesn't add nearly that much to the price of the vehicle. It might add $2,000 or $3,000. Your mileage will vary depending on where you're at and all the condition of the car, a lot of different things. But the full self-driving, I would probably recommend it only if you know you really like it. Try it out for $100 a month. Just try it the one time and then see how much you like it and go from there. But I would definitely recommend the monthly subscription, because then if you buy another Tesla, you can just keep paying that monthly. The t-shirt, I actually got this for free because 3 of you guys know who you are. You guys rock. I appreciate it. You guys did use my referral code when you guys purchased the Tesla. So 3 people bought Model 3s and Model Ys. And so I got 10,000 referral credits for each of those people. And I actually did use a lot of those to pay for some of the road trips that I've taken in this vehicle. I did get some free charging. And I'm actually going to go right into the charging and how much money I've been saving over the last just almost a year. But one thing I have to talk about before that is that the referral program is ended. I think I might be a little biased, obviously, but I think that's kind of a miscalculation. Right now, when you guys are watching this, Tesla's in the midst of massive layoffs. So Elon Musk is very controversial dude. So he runs Tesla. He's the CEO. He makes a lot of impulsive decisions. I'm going to talk about something related to charging as well with this. He recently laid off the entire Supercharger team, disbanded the rewards program, cut all advertising. He's cutting costs majorly, like in kind of chintzy ways. He was basically telling everyone in the company that they had to lay off, a certain amount of people. The head of the Supercharger team said, we can't do that. And being impulsive, he fired the entire team. So when I read that, I was thinking, is the Supercharger network going to be less reliable? Is it going to be breaking down more? Are they not going to be installing stations at the rate that they need to keep up with the EV demand? Because definitely if they're allowing people onto the Supercharger network this year that don't have Teslas, that's going to cause more congestion. So if they're not building new stations and keeping up with that demand, that's going to make the experience worse. So it could actually be worse than it is right now. That said, he did recently reverse course and said he was going to spend $500 million on installing new chargers. So he might end up hiring a lot of those people back. But keep that in mind, that buying a Tesla, it really is like buying into Elon Musk a little bit, just because he has so much power and influence at the company to make broad sweeping decisions, for better or for worse. The Supercharging network, him laying off the entire team, as an owner, that makes me really not confident in the future, not as much as I would have been before. They've grown the Supercharger network like crazy, breakneck speed. The last 3 or 4 years, they have gotten a ton of chargers all over the country. and you could pretty much go anywhere in the country. There are a couple deserts where you might need to charge at a family member's house. You might need to charge at a hotel if there's a hotel charger. Oh, check it out. There's horses. Nice. As far as efficiency goes, I actually tracked it in the wintertime. I had a trip for all of my driving, just everything. So, a couple of road trips, going to work, commuting over to the other town where my in-laws live. All my driving combined had, and I really didn't believe this when I saw it, but I tracked it over the entire winter, and it was an average efficiency of about 249 watt hours per mile, which for everyone else, and this is the unit I like more, it's just about 4 miles per kilowatt hour. So that is really, really fantastic for any EV. But definitely I'm pretty happy about that result. Definitely the heat pump in this car helps a lot with that, I think. And as far as springtime, so far I've been tracking it, and I'm at about 225 watt hours per mile. So but I think that's about 4.5 miles per kilowatt hour. So I've been really impressed with that. 443. Glad I'm not paying that. The following video I took trying to get to work in a bit of a snowstorm that we had, so this just kind of shows you how it does in the snow. I was pretty impressed with how the rear-wheel drive handled. Looks like I am the second one to drive on this today. Brake check. Not looking great. All right, I'm gonna get to that 20 and we're gonna do a brake check right now. Not the worst I've ever braked on, but this will be interesting. What time is it? 5 a.m. exactly. I don't think I'm making it on time, but we're gonna find out. And it's snowing now, but check that out. We're here and it's only 5:49. That's basically where I gotta be. So I'm impressed. So it worked out. In terms of savings, I have saved on average of at least $100 a month. I'm going to kind of put some video on the screen right now so you guys can kind of see per month. Keep in mind that the Supercharger stations, most of those have been for free because I got the referral credits, but still, this is even using a price of gasoline that is a little bit lower than what it actually is in my part of the country. So these savings are going to be pretty close. So if you look at the old video that I had in the price breakdown, that's been pretty accurate. It does cost me about as much, if not a little less, to drive this vehicle than it did my 2019 Nissan Altima. 443. Glad I'm not paying that. My experience charging, especially on road trips, has actually been really fantastic, even though the future of the Supercharging network is kind of up in the air. I've had no problems stopping at any station. They've always had at least one that's open and working. I've never had to wait more than, I think, 45 minutes at a station to this date. Usually the typical stop time is between 15 and 25 minutes. And usually you don't charge to the entire full way. The map has never led me astray. I've never reached a destination with less than 5% battery. I think it automatically kind of tries to route you with at least 10% to spare. And I believe there is, usually on most Teslas, depending on the state of your vehicle, this may vary, but there is a certain reserve that can get you if you kind of drive very slowly to the next supercharger, given that you're at least a close distance to it. But that being said, I've not been stranded. I've not felt the range anxiety. Even with the shorter range on the rear-wheel drive, it's been a non-issue. I'm going to close out by just telling you how it feels like to drive this every day. So the experience is really good. When I'm driving this, it's kind of hard to describe, but it almost is like you're driving a little capsule. My mom calls hers her little space capsule. You just hop in and, there's no engine, you don't have to go to the gas station. It's always at full charge or whatever you set your limit to. For the LFP battery in this one, you can charge it to full every day with minimal impact on the battery life, like lifetime. So it's really nice just to like wake up every day, even if I get home and I'm like 10% because I've, driven home from work and then we drive somewhere else and come back and do a ton of driving, and I get home and in the morning I know it's going to be the exact same amount of range that I had when I woke up the day previous. The cruise control, the dumb cruise control, it doesn't have dumb cruise control. It only has the smart cruise control. So sometimes when you're driving, it just slows down randomly. The phantom braking is less than it used to be, like when I had that one clip from my old video where it was imagining that there was a pedestrian in the road and it was slamming on the brakes. That's been happening a lot less. I think they've done a lot of really good work on the self-driving stuff, but sometimes it gets confused or scared at just things that are just would seem to not be a big deal. That said, it's always improving. It's gotten a lot better in the last year, so in 5 years it might be a lot better than it is now. But when you're buying a Tesla, you're buying into an ecosystem, and you're buying into more than just a car. It's almost like buying a phone, right? So if you buy an iPhone this year, odds are that in 3 years it's going to be able to do stuff that you can't do right now. For better and for worse, it's always changing and evolving. So it's kind of like, I can see why some people wouldn't want that, because they want something that's going to be reliable. Maybe like a Toyota, right? You buy a Toyota, you know exactly what you're getting. You're getting something that's going to last you a really long time. It's basically yesterday's tech, but it's going to last well into tomorrow. Whereas buying a Tesla, longevity, you know, the jury's still out, but the odds are, with the low maintenance that you have to do, it's going to last you a really long time as well. But you're not getting something that's proven. You're not getting something that's like tried and true. You're getting tomorrow's technology today. So, you know, if you don't want to have to keep up, oh, what they changed my screen, it looks totally different now. Oh, I don't like that. It's probably not the car for you. If you're a tech guy like me, if you want something that's really comfortable, these seats are really comfortable. I'd say that this is your car. If you like something that's changing and evolving and you want to be on the forefront. I love this vehicle. There are a couple little hinky things about it, but it's definitely my favorite vehicle that I've ever owned. I do get excited still about driving it on road trips, and you know, in the morning when I'm commuting. I really like how automatic everything is. You don't have to really think about too much in this car after you get used to it. So once you know all the systems, the way they behave, you know its restrictions, its limitations, and you account for those, and it just kind of becomes second nature, you know, like every day it's, you know what you're doing. Living with this car is fantastic, especially for the price for driving it. And I know that, you know, after I pay off this vehicle, you know, however many years it lasts after that, 10, 15 years, I'm going to keep this car for a long time. It's going to be really, really cheap to operate. So, you know, insurance and repair costs aside, it's going to be a really reliable vehicle, is my hope, especially with that battery pack. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys have any suggestions or requests, things you'd like me to cover that I didn't cover in this video, let me know in the comments below. I'll do my best to make a follow-up and answer some of those. Maybe do a little Q&A thing. You know, someone so asks about this. I will let you guys know. So, thanks for watching.